All right, and Tucker, and thank you. And welcome to Hannity. And tonight's scary news from the Biden administration. Yearly COVID-19 vaccine mandates. Let me repeat, yearly mandates with new shots, in perpetuity? At least that's what one FDA executive said in a new bombshell undercover video from Project Veritas. Take a look.
So you have to get an annual shot. I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet, because they don't want to rile everyone up.
Is it going to be formally announced?
Yeah, at some point. I mean, it's going to be, and some of it's been talked about publicly, but it has been talked about on like CNN or Fox or MSNBC or anything.
Well, so much more from this undercover investigation, including new information that could seriously impact. They're talking about giving the shot to babies as young as 6 months old. How is that following science? Anyway, James O'Keefe will share that tape, and he'll be here with the very latest. Straight ahead, you won't believe the shocking new video released from Project Veritas, and I mean you won't believe it. Wait until you hear what one top FDA official really thinks about vaccine and COVID mandates. James O'Keefe, his undercover video, next. Straight ahead. Tonight, new explosive reporting from Project Veritas as a new undercover video features a high-ranking FDA official revealing the agency's true vaccine intentions, including annual mandated shots, their future COVID policy, major admissions about flaws in vaccine approval and the vaccine approval process, and, a plan to vaccinate 6-month-old babies. Joe, where's the science to back that up? As always, you decide. Take a look.
So you have to get an annual shot. I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet, because they don't want to rile everyone up. There's almost $1 billion a year going into FDA's budget from the people we regulate. If they can get every person required at an annual vaccine, that is a recurring return of money going into their company.
Why do they need the third one?
Well, the same reason that you or I would need the third one, because the vaccine, it wanes. Mm-hmm. Your ability to fight it wanes, so the 3 will bolster your system. And then there will be an annual, eventually an annual, just like the flu shot.
For the toddlers?
Well, for everyone.
You guys have been in the news a lot the last couple of days.
Yeah, we're looking at trying to approve. I don't completely agree with the process. They're looking at trying to inoculate kids under 5 years old, between 6 months and 5 years old.
What do you mean you don't agree with the process?
Well, I mean they don't have all the tests aren't there.
I thought their cases weren't that high for 6 month to 4-year-olds.
They're not, but because it's related to COVID, it's under that approval process.
That's really an emergency for the toddlers?
Well, they're all approved under an emergency, just because it's not as impactful as some of the other approvals, emergency approvals, but they're all being approved under that standard. The efficacy data doesn't have to be as high. It's harder to find, like, pregnant women for these studies, and a significant number in order to be statistically accurate. I haven't tested enough on pregnancy, on vaccines and everything, and women, because they have different systems than men.
Wow. And it doesn't stop there. Now, this official is identified as an FDA executive officer, Christopher Cole, not a low-level employee. He detailed what he says is big influence of major pharmaceutical companies and the control that they have over the approval process. And it's all about the money. Take a listen.
There's a money incentive for Pfizer and the drug companies to promote additional vaccinations.
Like, how much money do they get?
Well, I mean, It's well, it'll be a recurring fountain of revenue. It might not be that much initially, but it'll be recurring if they can get every person required at an annual vaccine. That is a recurring return of money going into their company.
Okay, so like if they mandate it for these toddlers, then it's guaranteed income.
Right, at some level. Just because it's most of them, well, almost all of them will be based on the actual data. So they're giving more money. Yes, that's great, and it increases the chance of an approval. But if the data's not there, it comes and bites the reviewer in the where they all approve it, and then like there's adverse reactions, which we have to pull it off the market.
Does that happen?
It happens a lot. All these like organizations within FDA, they like started to see all this cash in their eyes. It's like, oh, I need to grab some of that. And I think we've gone too far on that. You're not going to have a long shelf life in the agency if you're always that person.
Always that person that's kind of
like criticizing or suggesting that maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
So if you speak out about it, if you see them,
you're marked.
What do you mean you're marked?
You're not going to get to certain levels in government.
Wow. Now, the FDA gave us a statement. They said, quote, the person purportedly in the video, are they doubting it's that person, does not work on vaccine matters and does not represent the views of the FDA, but the FDA did not respond on the record to the specific claims made in the video. They didn't respond directly to these explosive revelations. We also reached out to Pfizer for comment. They didn't call us back. But Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe, he spoke with Cole just before he released his first tape late last night about his involvement in emergency use authorization for vaccines. That would seem to contradict what the FDA is saying. Here's what he had to say in this conversation.
Hey, we're doing a story on the FDA tonight, including some comments you made about the approval process. Reaching out to you for comment. Reached out to the FDA and they claim you have nothing to do with the department that approves vaccines, even though you said to my colleague that you did. So my question is, which is it? We're releasing this story in 30 minutes.
My office is not involved in the approval of vaccines. Yes.
And we did get a response from the FDA, and the statement read that, quote, the person in the video, that's you, does not work on vaccine matters and does not represent the views of the FDA. So you're saying that you do, in fact, work on COVID vaccine emergency approvals, correct?
I'm a manager in the office that helps oversee the approval of the COVID vaccine for emergency approval.
Is this the first time you're hearing about the video? It's from me?
Yes.
Has the FDA talked to you directly?
They have not.
Wow. So they just made a statement without even speaking to you?
Well, I'm not involved. My office is not involved at all in the approval of vaccines.
James O'Keefe joins us now. By the way, the entire tape is on his website. It's linked to my website, Hannity.com. This is blockbuster in so many different ways. Now, they claim he has nothing to do with the vaccines, but he has a big role to play in the authorization of emergency use for vaccines, and he's an FDA executive officer, James. That would seem like a high-up position, and if you're involved in the emergency authorization, that would mean you have to know a thing or two about what he was saying.
Yeah, Sean, thank you. I mean, this is extraordinary because we've received not one but two on-the-record statements from the Food and Drug Administration in the last 24 hours. The first, the person purportedly in the video, there he is in the video. These are not my claims. They're the claims out of the mouth of an executive person inside the Food and Drug Administration. The person purportedly in the video does not work on vaccine matters when he says, and repeatedly, that he handles these emergency use authorizations on toddler vaccines. He says the FDA is not going to not approve this so-called toddler vaccine. He's basically rubber stamping it. And a video we just broke moments ago, Sean, talks about the fountain of money, the fountain of revenue that goes into the FDA. The money they get from these pharmaceutical companies makes it more likely to approve their products. So this is an extraordinary story. Now, the FDA has given us yet another statement tonight, Sean, saying, this is a new statement, that he does not speak on behalf of the FDA. And as you saw in that recording of the phone call I made to him last night, it was extraordinary. The FDA did not even tell Christopher Cole that he gave me this statement. So, I mean, there are so many questions here, but this was a 2-month-long undercover operation, investigation. We had 5 meetings with Christopher Cole. We have hours of video recordings of what he's saying, which is truly dynamite stuff, Sean.
So what you got out of this, and this is just a quick summary here, is that we're going to have an annual mandated vaccine. I guess it hasn't, he said it hasn't been formally announced yet because they don't want to like rile everybody up, which would rile people up. They're not going to not approve emergency use authorization. And you're telling me that he admitted he's part of that for 5-year-old children and kids 6 months old, and that the money, more money you put into the FDA, increases your chances of approval for any medication. That would be the opposite and the antithesis of what they lecture us about, which is follow the science, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's serious ethical issues. I'm not sure it's literally corruption, but this new story, which I'm going to reiterate some of the quotes here, almost $1 billion a year going into the FDA's budget from the people we regulate, quote unquote. The drug companies, they pay us hundreds of millions of dollars a year to hire and keep the reviewers to approve their product. He even talks about how hard it is for people to speak up. He says you'll be a marked man. He says you'll be marked from getting other jobs because another office is not going to want to hire you if you've spoken about something here. So last night, Sean, I made an appeal to this man, Christopher Cole. You can see the full recording on our website. I asked him to become a whistleblower. Obviously, he's saying some very true things here. He's saying he misspoke. And then I said, well, which part did you misspeak about? And he said, well, then I was speaking in private. I didn't want my remarks publicized. Of course, that's the whole idea of journalism, Sean, is to make public what powerful people want kept private. And when you have the government getting money from the people who are supposed to be regulating, and you have an executive officer in that government saying he did not know that he was being recorded, that influences how they approve products. And he says that there's an emergency, so we're just going to sort of rubber stamp these toddler vaccines because it's under an emergency authorization. These are serious issues here. And we want to know, we want answers, not the company line.
We want pharmaceutical companies because, you know, they have drugs to lower our blood pressure and drugs for people that have heart attacks and strokes and high cholesterol, et cetera. But when they say that you increase the amount of money will increase your chances of approval, when they're talking about a shot for 6-month-olds, there's no science to back that up, or kids under 5. When they're talking about mandating annual shots because they'll make money, a lot more money over time, the drug companies, this incestuous relationship that seems to exist, there's a lot more to get to out of this. This is phenomenal work. We appreciate you doing it. And if you get new developments, we'll have you back. Thank you for sharing it with us.